Okay, hi. Yeah, today we're dealing with Progressions Mercury, and so when we went through astrology, we saw the moon was our memories, and anything before this moment, our ability to reflect on things, and Mercury was began to recognize the patterns of how memories were made and what's in memories and weave connections and make sense of this and this happened and this would happen. And then it began to predict, well, I can anticipate this, and it builds up a sense of cunning and intelligence about what's going on and where things are going and what to anticipate. So Mercury is your intelligence, your perceptiveness. It's the way it's kind of the way you think. It's the way you make sense or find relevance in the experiences that are happening to you, and based on the experience you've already had. Okay, and it's your alertness, really. Mercury becomes your alertness in the moment to what's happening now. What happens though is old patterns and old agendas come up, and they start affecting the way we interpret what's happening new, and it starts limiting our awakeness to how we're ready to deal with things. So in progressions, there's always a battle between the outer. There's always a tendency to see what's happening outwardly in the world and how we're looking out in the world against the background of what we're growing inwardly, spiritually within while that's going on. So I think that's probably why progressions don't become really clear for people until they're in their 60s or 70s, and you look back and you start being aware of this, aware of these things. But yeah. In any spiritual path, you know, you have you're trying to find your heart, or God, or love. That's the sun. We're trying to find, when we did the sun, we looked at all the possibilities, how we put our ego out into the world, and how the ego is the flip side of our soul, or our oneness, or our sense of God. So that was the main theme of the sun, and we went into 3 ways to explore it, to look at it, to see phenomena happening around it in our life, kind of like poems, outer poems that had inner transformations going on within us. And we saw how our inner sense of purpose and being and ability to love or radiate, how it developed and evolved across a lifetime, our ego and relationship that had evolved, till hopefully it lets go of the ego and it becomes the oneness. So now we have Mercury, and Mercury's the mind. And in most spiritual practice, the biggest battle is to fight the mind. The mind is so busy, it's interpreting everything. This is happening, that's happening, it's going this. It's got its schedules, got its names, got its lists, got its people, got its things to do. It's got this means this, this could mean this, what about this, what about this? It has this basic curiosity. In Buddhism, they call it the monkey mind. It's always all over the place. So Mercury's busy making sense of things, looking at everything. And it never shuts up. It hardly listens. It's always making quick associations and projecting it. So this is a puzzle and a problem for spiritual evolution, because ideally in your evolution, your mind should be tuned in to your inner awareness and your inner growth, and should be tuned into the heart and guided from that. Oh boy. Well, usually our mind is working so much, it's the exact opposite of that. It wants to be in control, it wants to be thinking, and this thought is always another thought, another idea, another scheme, another thing. Oh, we could do this. Oh, what about this? It just keeps going. That's the natural, that's the outer natural way of Mercury. We're built up, conditioned to do that, to learn a language, to talk, learn words, make sense, connections, be able to talk relatively, so we can tweet on Twitter, and we can connect on Facebook, and we can make all these connections and mental associations and just fulfill all the possible ideas we can have. That's the outer transitory Mercury. The inner Mercury, it's the first planet to the sun. It's really so close to the sun. There's almost no atmosphere on Mercury. However, Mercury is always facing the sun. So the sun side is like temperatures like 600 or 700 degrees, but on the back side, they go down to minus figures. So there's ice in the caves on the backside of Mercury. So it has these extremes, this hot, cold extreme. Just ahead a little bit here. It's a picture of Mercury going across the sun. Mercury's this dot at the top, and on the right-hand side, there's a sunspot, which is way bigger than even Mercury, just a sunspot. But you can see how tiny Mercury is going across the orb of the sun. So it's a good proportional sense of how important the mind is compared to the ability to love and radiate and feeling. It's on a whole other dimension, it's a whole other level loving than thinking. So the challenge across a lifetime is to learn to control, direct, steady, slow down, still, calm down the mind, so that until you're able to have you're thinking from your heart, not from your head, not from all the relative things, but from your heart, and you have heartfelt thinking. Wow, then your imagination happens, then things open up in a whole different way. So this heartfelt thinking, it's a profound thing to try and go towards. So trying to, I mean, the mind is such an amazing thing. It coordinates all our nerves, it organizes everything in our body, it moves everything that moves, it connects things, it makes associations in the brain with ideas, with words, with symbols, with communication, with things outside and inside, and it's busy all the time. It's hugely important to us. As soon as there's any material problems, we're not thinking right or not coordinating right. Well, these are big problems that affect so many things. It affects so much because our mind seems to be driving our life. So when your mind is busy driving life, how can it ever get, like, how do you turn it around to get interested in inner things? To actually be curious, to use its curiosity or its inquisitiveness about one's connections to one's heart or to one's connections to one's soul and inner being, as opposed to all the connections that are happening outside that's so exciting and seemingly so relevant at the moment. Whereas the basic, obvious sun sitting there, it's the elephant in the room. How do you talk about that? There's all of this. So in a way, every planet is facing the sun. The sun's sending out its rays 360 degrees. It's going out. The planets stand there and block some of the rays. That's for me. I'm taking that ray. I'm taking that much sunshine, taking that much light and energy. So the planets block the sun. Behind the planet is a bit of a shadow. So here you're seeing Mercury facing the sun. One side is totally bright. We're seeing the dark side of it, and there's a bit of a shadow behind it. So when Mercury tries to go around and make its conjunctions and make its connections, it's making sense out of things, but we're getting the shadow of the thinking, not the light side of the thinking. Boy, all it takes is a heartbreak to just get past your mind, and suddenly, who am I? What am I doing? Where's my heart? Where's my love? What's it about? And the mind's spinning around that. But there are spiritual books, there are different ways that you can channel your mind to begin to get interested in inner things, to not be so buzzed out on all the sensations. We get our mind to social things, we get our mind to sensual things. Every sensation the mind needs makes sense of this and this and this. There's billions of things every day going on that it's interrelating. It's fantastic. But the ego sun and the self-centered planetary Mercury mind is just interpreting everything. The ego's doing this, and it's got to fix what the ego is, and we're doing this, we're going there, I'm going this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it embellishes that to no end. But that doesn't lead to calmness or peace. That leads to many, many different adventures that go up and they go down, and they just change all the time across a lifetime. It's not a place where peace would be. Not that everyone's interested in peace to begin with, or in love to begin with. But in the progressions, you almost have this haunting heart, haunting to express itself, trying to radiate and get past the conditions that we impose it on in our life. It's not that it's not there, it's always there. Sun's always there. We put clouds in the way, we put judgments, we put filters in the way, we put thoughts in the way, we put blocks in the way. It's got to be this. We interpret that has to be this, when really love is uninterpretable, it's unmentionable, it's unfathomable. You can't even describe what it is, you can't say what it is, you can't think what it is. So this is part of the mysteries of life. Who am I? What? Where? Who am I? What am I doing? Who am I? You know, I'm these thoughts, I'm doing these things, I'm this body, I'm these sensations, I'm these things that I'm doing, I'm this career, I'm these things. And it's not really who we are. That's the facade of what we are. Really, like it's not my, like one of the meditations from Mercury is like, who am I? It's like, am I these eyes? No, these are my eyes. So my eyes have the function of seeing, and there's the objects that I'm seeing. I'm not the objects I'm seeing. I'm not the seeing. I'm not even the eyes. I'm the owner of the eyes. The same thing with the ears. You have the objects of the sound. You have the phenomena of hearing, the sensation of hearing, and you have the one who hears, or the one who owns. It's my ears. It's my ears, my taste, my smell, my touch. But Mercury is, well, this touches this is good, this is bad, this is hot, this is cold, it's going into all, it gets identified so quickly to all the sensations. But then Mercury is the thoughts. So even, am I these thoughts? So this is my mind thinks, and the thoughts are the object of the thinking. And since it's my mind, I'm the owner of the mind, so I is a thought, but there's a presence behind the mind that owns the mind. Like that's our spiritual being, this oneness, this heart behind transcending everything, but permeate everything. It's not separate. It's just permeating on another frequency. It's not a mental frequency. It's not even emotional. It's a heartfelt, loving frequency. Oh, how clear is our relationship to love? How do we even know what that is? What's enough? What's too much? What's surrender? So how do we calm down the mind? How do we direct the mind to get closer to inner things through our sorrows, through our ups and downs in life? Many people run into this puzzle. What's it all about? What's it for? And our mind starts questioning. We start using our mind to question our purpose in life. And as we do, our mind starts turning inward a little bit. What's it for? Why bother? What's it mean? And we start turning in. This inturning of the mind is the beginning of a spiritual progression. It's the beginning of an internalization. And it continues by all the different religions have different disciplines around how to control the mind, how to calm it down, how to slow it down, how to try and control it. And usually you can't stop it. It's always thinking. It's a very useful function. But at the same time, to get it not wandering and looking at everything, not just yahooing out in the world, the ways of controlling it, usually in yoga, there's the type of breathing, the pranayama. Then you concentrate on the breath, and the mind concentrates on the breath, and you get into the rhythm of the breath, and it kind of hypnotizes the mind into not thinking outwardly, and ends up being a spiritual discipline that's controlling the mind. In Tai Chi, they have the exercise you're breathing, but really your body is breathing, and the deep breathing is taking your attention and controlling your mind inside your body and not about the outside things going around it. And that's, again, a training that's controlling or directing the mind inwardly. As the mind has any sense of curiosity or inquisitiveness, it starts wanting to know more and more about it. But as soon as it knows more and more about it, it keeps running back out to want to relate it to everything else and talk to everyone else about it. So you keep having to bring it back and controlling the mind. Chanting is another thing that controls the mind, because you're chanting, and it's like when a kid goes, blah, 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 doesn't want to hear something, puts their hands over their ears, going, yeah, and they're trying to block out sound. Chanting can block out the thinking, can control the thing, so you're having to think about the chanting and your mind's not going everywhere else. So chanting is a tool. They say in the Kali Yuga, chanting is the most powerful way to direct the mind inwardly and to stop it from thinking and to get liberated and find the heart. So this is the puzzle that's going on here, and I'm not sure how well I can describe it. I just want to explain there's two sides of this. One, how well you go out, and one is how much you listen in, how much you go in. Mercury's sitting right facing the sun, but we're seeing the backside of the mind, and we're seeing the relativity of it, but we're not. It's blocking a little bit of sunlight. When you stand back and you're seeing there's so much sunlight, we don't even see Mercury. That little dot just almost disappears. It's hardly relevant. Those thoughts are hardly relevant compared to one sense of love.